Hi friends, hope you are doing well. Today I am going to discuss 5 different aspects which are very important to get a postdoc, and these are aspects which you need to cultivate while you are doing the PhD. So these are things to keep in mind while you are a PhD or even a master student, because they are not only going to help you in getting a postdoc, but also if you apply to any faculty position or any job in the university system. So let's start with these 5 things. So number 1, I would say, is your publication record. And essentially at the end of the PhD, what you have in terms of quantitative metrics to show anybody is your list of publications. So here I would say, as soon as you enter your PhD, keep in mind that you need to use your PhD to generate at least 1 journal paper and preferably 3 to 5 journal papers. And here I am talking about papers in good journals. So remember that journals can be classified into various types. There are good journals, good in terms of the society which publishes them or the impact factor of these journals or how these journals are known in your field. Now also remember that there are not so good journals and there are pretty bad journals. There are journals known as predatory journals, which essentially just publish whatever you send to them, and they charge a lot of money for doing so. So in fact, publications in predatory journals can be deleterious as far as their record is concerned. So it's always a good idea to go with society journals. By society I mean societies such as the IEEE, the Royal Society, and so on, and also established publishers such as Springer, Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, Sage. So there are well-known companies which have been out there for a long period of time, and these are very well established in the business of publishing. So generally publications which come out of these companies are quite well reputed. So these are certain things to keep in mind. So that was number 1 issue, which is publication in good journals. So now we come to number 2. So number 2 is development of good writing skills. And essentially, if you think about it, you knew a lot of stuff when you completed your bachelor's degree or your master's degree as far as the technical aspects of your field are concerned. Now what you primarily do in the PhD is you do research, and research is partly guided by your supervisor and partly you do the research. Now one of the main things about doing research is that you end up communicating this to your fellow peers, and this is the process of writing. And maybe you write papers for conferences or journals, but at the end of the day you have to submit your papers to some journals. And the final product of the PhD is your dissertation or thesis, and this is a written record of all the work you have done. So if you think about it, the fundamental skill you learn during the PhD is to do research, that is, conduct a literature survey, find a problem, develop methods for solving this problem, solve this problem, and then look at the various results, discuss these, and give some strong conclusions coming out of this research. Now this entire thing should essentially result in development of good writing skills. So that is the number 2 aspect about getting any postdoc, is that you should have good writing skills. And this is important to keep in mind because your postdoc supervisor would not like to spend time to improve your writing skills at this stage. So whatever improvement in writing skills you have to do, you need to do it during your bachelor's program, during your master's program, and certainly during your PhD. So if your writing skills are weak, make sure that you spend a lot of time in improving your writing skills while you are studying for the PhD. And you read a lot of books in fiction and non-fiction, you brush up grammar, you improve your vocabulary, you look at sentence structures and so on. And you are able to write a paper without the help of your supervisor, because once you go for the postdoc, your PhD supervisor is not going to be there to help you, and the expectation of the postdoc supervisor will be that you will write your own paper completely by yourself and give him or her a pretty good camera ready copy, which they can then just correct to some extent and send it off for publication. So that's number 2, good writing skills. Now number 3 is cultivating 3 to 5 references. And this is especially important because in most postdoctoral situations you will require 2 to 3 references, sometime more. So just for a factor of safety, you should have about 5 people who know your work quite well. And again, there are various ways of cultivating these people. One of these, of course, is your PhD supervisor. But then beside that, people in your doctoral committee, people who have looked at your thesis. So this is a very good source that if you are in one of those universities which require a person from outside the university to peruse a thesis and judge the thesis, then this person becomes a very valuable referee for you later. So again, keep in contact with these people. Also, if any professors visit your campus or you go to some university, make sure you cultivate these people. They know of your research. When you publish a paper, you can send it to them, the PDF file, so that they know what you are doing, they know that you are there. And so when the time comes for you to ask for a reference, you can ask them and they may give a reference to you. So that was number 3, references. Now number 4 is cultivating a social network of scientists, and this is very important. This has to be a few people, it doesn't have to be a large set, but actually at the end of the day, most of the postdoctoral positions are often decided by this weak social network. Now there is this theory about weak network and strong network, or weak ties and strong ties. Most of us have strong ties, for example, with our PhD supervisor, with the people in the committee, with various professors and so on. But what happens is that there are many people whom you may know weakly, and these are people who may have been there in a conference where you have presented a paper, editors of journal who may have supervised your paper work and to whom you have sent your revision. These people would be knowing what you are doing. So these type of people are often very useful, and they are part of your weak network where you can approach them at a given point of time for possible positions, and they may have positions with them, or they may provide you with some leads where you can get positions. Now remember, the people with whom we are working at your own university cannot help you much except for giving you references and so on. So the people who are working at different universities or different countries or different companies, all these people become more valuable to you because these are the weak ties which will help you get something later. And now one of the most important weak ties is if you can get to know some former students who have been at your institution. So these are certainly people who are very useful, and they can often provide you a piece of information, like somebody has got a large fund for setting up a research center in some university, and this kind of information is extremely useful in going ahead and applying to such a person for a prospective postdoc position. So that was number 4, which was development of this weak ties and weak social network. And of course, number 5 is the proposal. Now this does come late in the phase. You don't have to immediately bother with a proposal when you are a PhD student, but this is something which is not often taught to PhD student. That is the art of writing proposals. Supervisors tend to shield students from this important problem, and then suddenly when they are asked to write a proposal after their PhD or at the end of the PhD to be submitted with the application for the postdoc, they are somewhat concerned at that point. So make it a point that during your PhD you improve your writing and you start looking at some sample proposals which may be submitted by some of your seniors in the lab, by your supervisor and so on. So you will find very often that there are certain grants which have been obtained by your supervisor or for different people, and you can look at the proposals which they have written. Or if your senior students have got some postdocs, they have written a proposal, and if they have got the postdoc through, they will be in a good mood and they will be able to help you with the proposal. So again, these type of documents become extremely useful if you can get hold of one of these documents, keep it safely with you, because if you have a few templates of proposals, then you can get a lot of concepts about how you should go about writing a proposal. And one of the things which this will help you do is that you will also start looking at problems outside your PhD problem, and therefore you will start figuring out how to write a proposal, because this is something which is very important. During a PhD, you are doing one particular problem, and so you are very well versed into that problem and you are an expert in that area. But later, when you are planning to write a proposal, you have to think out of the box, you have to come up with a new problem. So for a more senior researcher, the bigger problem becomes how do you come up with the problem. So that is often the biggest problem in research. So these were the 5 main topics I had for you today about how to prepare for the possible postdoc and what are the 5 main secrets you need to keep in mind when you are applying for a postdoc position. And you can build this case over your years of PhD student time and become better prepared for a postdoctoral position. So I hope you benefited from this video. Please subscribe to my channel and share it with your network, and stay tuned to my channel for further videos. See you soon.